Hi, I'm Valerie Espinoza. I'm the chair of the New Mexico Public Regulation Commission, and we have been hosting this TV program for many years, and the purpose of the program is to inform not only our constituents but the public on what state government, local, city, county things are happening, and we like to keep our constituents informed, especially, and educate them on what impacts them, what impacts their pocketbook. So we've had this program, and I want to welcome you and thank you for taking the time to be here, Ed. This is Mr. Edward Moreno, and we were talking really about what his last name meant, the dark one. Isn't that that's sweet? That's a good word, the dark one. Anyhow, we want to welcome you to our program. Edward is a candidate for the Santa Fe County Commission. And so welcome. True. And that's District 5. And before we get into an introduction about yourself, what area does District 5 encompass? That's important to know. That's true. The population base, most of the people live in El Dorado. And Rancho Viejo is coming up also with more population. The district includes Highway 14 and down close to Galisteo, close to Cerrillos, and there are several precincts in the city of Santa Fe around the Rodeo Road area. Interesting. Mm-hmm. So I think you must be, let's see, I live near Rodeo. You might be in my district. We've been canvassing in park plazas and the Pueblos de Rodeo. My new neighborhood. Yeah, yeah, a lot of people there, and they're part of the city, and they are also part of the county. So the overlapping jurisdictions is always going to be a little bit tricky. Right, I know some of the area, like you say, is in the city, and sometimes there's dogs on the loose, not on the leash, and so you're going to start hearing those kind of issues, mm-hmm. complaints, and so let's go back to we met on the trail, and I've come to know you, and I'm wondering, what is your background and what qualifies you to be on the county commission? Well, I have a very diverse background. Having been a county official yourself, that the county is called upon to do multiple things. Art programs, the jails, the boundaries waters. Of the sheriff's, that's an issue for me for coming from mm-hmm. the north. But yeah. You're right. No, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt. And the health programs, roads, multiple things that the county is involved with. And my background is very well matched to that. My earliest career was as a journalist. I covered the legislature and executive agencies starting in 1980 or so. What media Mexico. Did you cover it for? Was it at the Capitol itself, or? I was an employee of the Associated Press. I'll be. And was in that job about almost 15 years. How did you like covering legislative matters and state government? It was always fascinating to me. Every year was a new year, and I covered a lot of elections, all the elections for those years, and I was probably the most read journalist in that time because I was there at the Capitol all the time. When were you at the Capitol? I used to work in the Secretary of State's office many moons ago. It was 1982. Yes, I left that post in 93. And at that time, I went to work for Ray Powell. He had been just
been appointed to be land commissioner in that year, and that's when I got really involved in environmental issues. Ray was a dedicated environmentalist, which was really cool, and I met a lot of great people in that community, and I've been endorsed by the Sierra Club as part of that.
Well, then you and I might have a lot in common then.
I think we probably do. Yeah.
Well, good.
I left that position and started my own consultancy. I worked as a mediator, as a public relations consultant. I worked for many clients, the Mescalero Apache tribe. I was in on the earliest phases of the statewide regional water planning, working with some of the finest mediators and facilitators anywhere, Lucy Moore, Rosemary Romero, and I got a really great education in that position.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I was affiliated with a nonprofit in Colorado, the Keystone Center, based at Keystone, Colorado, and was part-time facilitator, and that position led me into a wider range of topics.
Sure.
We did a lot of health work. We did a lot of work for the Centers for Disease Control. It was in the days where the swine flu was a scare, and we one of my most interesting meetings that I facilitated was in El Paso when we had 1,000 people in a ballroom, and the task was how to inform people about the risks about the swine flu, influenza, without scaring people.
Even though they were already scared.
They were scared, and then the experts would talk about a little bit about what it is and how you can prevent it. And so health, highway projects, very, very diverse, just like county government. You have to do a little bit of everything.
Absolutely. You mentioned mediation. What type of mediation and with whom?
I did a lot of environmental work with my partners and with the Keystone Center. There was the National Park Service was required to ensure that the national parks were naturally quiet. It was a standard that was set up by the National Park Service. And so our task with Lucy Moore and others were tasked with figuring out how to best minimize airplane noise over the canyon. Ultimately, what happened was the air tours and the helicopters over the canyon were not the most noise-generating activities. It was the airplanes flying overhead from Chicago, Dallas, Denver, all flying over into the LA basin, in and out of Ontario, Burbank, LAX, San Diego, San Francisco. And so that's the way that it was left.
That's interesting because I attended a meeting, breakfast at 7:30 at the El Dorado with the Los Alamos National Lab leadership team, and they invited local leaders to attend their briefing on their budget, and they mentioned that they had $34 or $36 million worth of money available for environmental issues. So I think that's pretty significant. There's going to be a lot of jobs at Los Alamos and related to the environment.
Well, they're going to need it.
Yeah, for cleaning.
Because one of the most pressing issues in this county now is the Buckman diversion and how that's going to be repaired. It's increasingly important because I hear from my potential constituents about concerns about what is coming down the canyons from Los Alamos.
Right.
And the diversion itself is starting to fail.
Why is that? I remember when I was there, they were seeking funding for the diversion project, and then so now there's issues with it after it's been.
That's true. Yeah, it's the county has approved a fund, $1 million fund, to figure out what went wrong, and my hope is that they stick with what went wrong and not to go into a blaming situation, because we just can't afford to not have that facility working. And with regard to the whatever toxins that are in the canyons, it may need to be moved upstream. So
well, you can tell the difference in the budgets from Los Alamos, 34 million to 1 million, allocated at the county level.
Yeah, that's just to figure out what went wrong. The repairs are going to be multiple millions.
That's interesting. So you've already got your feet wet, and what's pretty important to me in government is, openness and transparency and professionalism. What would you do as a county commissioner to increase the openness and transparency within the entire county?
Well, that's a really important part of the modern era of governance. When I started out as a young journalist in Monte Vista, Colorado, many years ago, the practice was that the three members of the county commission in Rio Grande County would go outside and go out to the wood pile and have their meeting out there with nobody around. And when I asked, "What are you guys talking about?" they would just go away. And from then to now everything has changed. I've been through the county website, and they have every contract, every bid, every proposal is on there. I think if anything could be improved, I would say to give more attention to some of the advisory committees that inform the commissioners on policy matters. Their health commission, the planning department has meetings here and there, and those are areas where I would like to see a little bit more exposure to the process.
I know there's a lot of great employees there that really work hard and are dedicated, go to work every day, and so I think it's a great staff, great county, workforce.
That's true. By all accounts,
there's worker bees, a lot of worker bees there.
They are, and the county is being run professionally. There haven't been scandals or problems, major ones. They're taking care of business, and
the only problem is there's no parking.